The Paul W. Smith Show, News Talk 760, WJR.
Good Wednesday morning to you, middle of the week. Some call it Hump Day. The 27th of May, the 148th day of 2020. There are 218 days left in the year. Make each and every day count. Each day is a gift. This is an extra special one because it's our Ask the Expert day, the hour given to Rose Pest Solutions, one of our fine clients and partners, and a good business that's been doing what they do for over 160 years. The only thing different today is, though, you can call us at 1-800-859-0WJR and get on the air with us, 1-800-859-0WJR. You can also go online at WJR.com/Paul W. Smith, Facebook.com/WJR Radio, and search WJR 760 AM on YouTube, and you'll be able to see us as well throughout this hour as we welcome Mark D. Sheperdigian, BCE, Vice President of Technical Services, working in the urban pest management industry since 1983, a fine Michigan State University graduate, and we affectionately call him Shep. And I see, is that a COVID-19 beard as well?
I'm afraid it's true.
Yeah?
Kind of like, it's a Paul W. Smith beard.
Well, there's a lot of COVID-19 / Paul W. Smith beards that are out there. It's interestingly enough, we have an MSU expert weighing in, and he says it's going to be a very good year, or not so good. For us, not so good. For you guys, maybe pretty good, because he is suggesting that we are going to have a bumper crop of mosquitoes this year. Do you agree, Shep?
Wow. Well, in all deference to the MSU experts, mosquitoes are funny. We have about 60 species in the state. About a dozen of those actually bite us. Of those dozen, depends on the species. There are some that bite at night, and some that bite in the evenings, and some that only bite during the day. And there's some that come from snow melt in the spring, and they're only here for a couple of weeks and then they're gone. So bumper crop really depends on what species we're talking about and the weather. If it dries up all of a sudden, that's it for the mosquitoes. A couple of weeks after a good hard rain, and here they come. So it's as tough to predict as the weather.
All right. But here's what I can predict. There's a lot of people with a lot of questions, and you can call in now at 1-800-859-0WJR or weigh in online. Either way, we're going to get your question to Shep. Meanwhile, the president of Starfire Investment Advisors, Ron Humany, is stopping by in the middle of the week at 8:09. Good morning, Ron.
Morning, Paul. A substantial rally moderated a little bit in the afternoon yesterday on word of increasing tensions between the U.S. and China. However, this morning it looks like stock prices are going to levitate once again. Yesterday, the S&P 500 crossed above its 200-day moving average. It's a key technical indicator before it fell back, but it's going to cross over again this morning. That's traditionally a pretty bullish sign for the future. Interestingly, some of the more beleaguered shares did well yesterday. Shares of major airlines rose anywhere between 12 and 16%. After gaining 13% yesterday, Delta's indicated another 7% higher this morning. Conversely, shares of the stay-at-home or pandemic-related stocks slipped lower yesterday after weeks of leading the market higher. European Union has come up with another COVID-19 rescue proposal. This one calls for 750 billion euros of help. Of course, getting all 27 countries to agree to one program can be a bit like herding cats in a hurricane, so we'll see what happens there. If you're looking to buy a home, you probably have a lot of company. According to the Mortgage Bankers Association, mortgage apps for home purchases rose 9% last week, 9% higher than a year ago, and 54% higher than in early April. Asian markets mixed overnight. Europe 1% to 2% higher. Our futures have been holding fairly steady at higher levels this morning. Adjusted for fair value, S&P 500 futures up 36. Dow futures up 381 points, and the NASDAQ futures 52 points above fair value. At StarfireInvest.com, Ron Humany for the Paul W. Smith Show on WJR.
This report is sponsored by Speedway. At Speedway, they're here for you with just what you need, right when you need it. Their stores are stocked. Their pumps are pumping. Their doors are open, and cleanliness is their priority. So when you stop by, they'll be ready. The convenience stores of Speedway.
And at 8:11, we've got our WJR Traffic and Weather first, Miss Dana Clark.
A lot of cloud in, but a warm morning as we get into the afternoon. Warm weather continues about 10 degrees above average, mostly cloudy, make it to about 83. Tonight, a shower, 67. Tomorrow, a few showers around, an isolated thunderstorm late and a high of 80. From a Weather Channel, meteorologist Ray Stajic on News Talk 760 WJR.
The outside guy, Ken Carverly here to talk about CertaPro painters.
I presume that dropped off, Shep, for whatever reason.
It's kind of funny. Just can't tell.
Yeah, it's, we're getting our sea legs on this. We want to do more of these with our guests, but we got to get everything put together.
This really throws into a cocked out all the ideas about a face for radio, you understand.
I've always hated that line because I've generally, all my years in radio, had a television show going at the same time.
At the same time?
Yeah. Yeah. Different things. I can't tell that if anyone is watching on online right now or not.
And if so, are they hearing this?
Yes, they would be hearing this because once you're on all the time. But I don't see. Okay, so Frank and Romeo is first on the phone. I hope that's what that means. But I'm not hearing anything. Yes, that's what that means. Thank you, Curtis. Curtis Paul gets an award for getting up at the ungodly hour that we all do and helping us. But I don't hear anything. I'm sure I will when they're coming back to us, and you will too. Are you using just the speakers and microphone on your computer?
No, I'm not. I have a get down microphone right over here that I use for voicing training sessions for distance learning. So it is a snowball. It's a Yeti.
I see.
Sounds great, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds very good. Yeah. And do you have an earbud in or something that I can't see, or are you just listening from the computer?
There's a mic or a speaker right behind the microphone, but I'm trying to keep it down so there's no echo or.
Good. And what do I sound like? Because I can't hear myself in my headphones at all, which is, after all these years of broadcasting, odd.
You sound very good. It's studio quality. It's good stuff.
Oh, really? It's amazing for this little microphone.
Yeah, I wondered about that. You're at home too. So am I, as you can tell.
We're all at home. All at home. We are at home.
But that's okay. We'll make it through this.
Yeah, I think so.
You're hearing the Paul W. Smith Show. News Talk 760 WJR.
I had a name up there. We're going to go to you on the phone at 800-859-0WJR. Also at the usual social media sites so that you'll be able to be a part of the conversation. You can see us or just listen to us. But we have the first caller up, Frank in Romeo, and Welcome, Frank and Romeo, to our little experiment that seems to be so far working out. Say hi to Shep.
Hey, Shep. Good morning. Hey, Alvin and the crew has moved into my neighborhood, and my wife won't let me do anything bad to the chipmunks. How do I deter these guys? They're digging at holes everywhere.
Wow. Boy, that's tough. Chipmunks, their main defense is they're cute, and you don't want to kill them. But I'm telling you, they can be very, very destructive. I do not know of any reliable, practical way to deter them, to get them to move out. When their numbers get high enough, that's that. I have seen cats deter them, but I would not recommend that as a foolproof method, because you just can't tell what's going to happen.
Do you have a cat force at Rose? Do you employ certain cats to do jobs?
No, we employ dogs. We have dogs, canine division, but
that's right.
And we do.
Well, so what do we tell Frank? What can Frank do? Is there anything?
He needs to buy his wife a weekend in Chicago while she's gone. Peanut butter and snap traps. They are suckers for peanut butter.
Okay. In fact, they're so bad. I mean, literally, I had to take heavy patio blocks and stick them in the corners of my garage doors. You know where the garage door is and the frame, because they would literally get into that corner and chew the wood and chew the seal and get in the garage.
They'll do that. You can seal them out of the garage, but you got to use stuff like hardware cloth that they can't chew through, but they can be destructive. And that's not as bad as the destruction as when they get under your patio or your driveway and cause the whole thing to sink. That gets expensive fast.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Good luck, Frank.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Paul W. Smith Show on WJR. Janet in Chelsea is doing the same and calling in to speak with our board-certified entomologist, Mark D. Sheperdigian. We call him Shep. Good morning, Janet.
Good morning. Well, we have chipmunk problems too, but mine is a bat. We had bats and we had new siding put on everything. Thought we got rid of them, but now we had someone come out, had to pay them, and they were going to come and fix our roof fence where they had chewed in the roof fence. But they never showed up, but we have bats back, at least one. I don't know what to do with. And I want to know what Rose would do for bats. Do they fix the problem?
Well, when you say we have bat, you mean inside the house?
In the attic, yes.
In the attic. Well, right now the bats are raising babies, and there's issues with bats. We wouldn't do anything until probably July at this point. You got to wait for the baby bats, the batlings, the little bats to fledge. If that means to start out flying on their own. If you don't do that, the bats don't give up, and it just gets worse and worse. Once those bats become like adolescent bats, they'll start flying, but they get lost real easy, and that's when we get most of our bat calls, because we got lost teenage bats trying to get home. So the best thing to do at this stage of the game is let that happen, and then come July, they can be excluded. What we would do is we would go take a look and see, well, where are these bats coming in and out of? If you can't tell where they're entering the attic, there's not too much you can do about it. Once you know those access points, there's a number of different ways you can set up a one-way door or something where the bats can get out, but they can't get back in, and they will soon move off. And if all the bats are mobile, they move off at that point. Then you got to seal up the place so they can't get back in.
Hey, good luck to you with your bats in the belfry, Janet in Chelsea. You know, what we haven't heard about very much lately are those, and I'm afraid what you're going to say, because you probably have these as pets, because you usually shoot holes in these kinds of stories, those Asian giant hornets, affectionately called murder hornets. We don't hear about them very much anymore. Whatever happened? And please tell me that you don't have them as pets.
I have no Asian giant hornets as pets, although my colleague Mark Vanderwerp has one in the collection, but it's quite dead. So you heard about those, and it's amazing what a flash in the pan that story was. Let's see what happens. Near as I could tell, there were only 2 actual specimens taken this year. And the real concern is, did they get established? If they did, they'll be established in the Pacific Northwest, and their chances of getting here are pretty slim. Although I got to tell you, after all that flurry of activity, I did get a voicemail. Lady called in, and she swore that they were here in Michigan somewhere. I don't know about that. I would think if that was true, we would hear about it. These things are unusual. So mostly what's going to happen is we'll wait to see if they establish or not. If they get established, you'll hear more about them. If not, it'll be just another story.
We have a call from Leslie in the Upper Peninsula, and Leslie says, we have a lot of big ants coming into the cabin trying to use ant traps. What can we do? They're listening.
Wow. Hi, Leslie. Ant traps. You mean most people, when they say ant traps, they mean those little containers that the ants are supposed to go in. Those are actually bait stations. And so baiting ants can work really well. The big ants we have are Carpenter ants, and they are active now. Here in the Southeast, in the Michigan Southeast, we have lots of these things swarming. So you'll see great big black ants on the wing. I'm not sure if that's happened yet up north, but when it does, you'll know about it. As far as baiting them, early in the spring, you can bait them with just about anything. They wake up hungry. On the other hand, once we get into the season, and that's where we are now, they eat such a variety of things. It is very difficult to use baits to get rid of them. You have to have something that they'll really go for. So if you're trying to bait them, you can use, what can you use? It's more of an art than a science. I'm afraid at that point. But if you can get them to eat it, you'll win. If you can't, you lose.
We had carpenter ants at our house in the garage, and I called you guys. Your guy came out. Very nice guy, mask, the whole deal. You guys are disinfecting and keeping everything by the CDC and more to be safe when you make these calls. But it appeared that these carpenter ants had all committed mass suicide. There was like a whole bunch of them around the floor. I thought they were little droppings at first. And then your guy got down and said, well, these aren't droppings. They have wings. These are carpenter ants. So you've said it, that they're out there. Carpenter ants have been swarming, and it is an issue, obviously, that a lot of us have to deal with. So I'm glad that you've addressed that. Let's see what it is Pete in Dearborn has on his mind. Pete, welcome to the Paul W. Smith Show, WJR, and Shep from Rose Pest Solutions.
Hi, good morning, guys. I've got an infestation of carpenter bees, and I'm having a terrible time to get rid of them. Any suggestions?
Oh, yeah. Good morning, Pete. Carpenter bees. A lot of people think these are like bumblebees. What's wrong with the bumblebees? They're drilling holes in my house. Well, carpenter bee is a large bee that looks much like a bumblebee, but it's actually it's a carpenter bee. They drill holes in wood. There is some controversy as to whether they'll go through paint or stain. Usually finished wood is left alone. Right now they are out, and the females are drilling holes, and they're gonna start laying eggs and setting up. Just about anything you use is going to kill these things. So you can go out there with a badminton racket, which is pretty effective. Just about any do-it-yourself over-the-counter pesticide that is labeled for exterior treatment on the exterior of your house, it should work. Once you get this taken care of here in the spring, you're good for the rest of the year. And don't worry about them while they do have a sting, and they can sting, they don't sting, unless you handle them roughly. Most people choose not to handle them at all. I must admit, I got stung a couple of years ago, but I was handling it roughly, so that's what you get.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I'm sure you will be successful.
All right. Good luck to you, Pete. Carpenter bees look like bumblebees drilling holes in your eaves and decks. Keep an eye out for them. I don't hear that much about carpenter bees. You've just taught me a lot, Shep, on all of that. Hey, speaking of news stories that were big, and actually you still get these stories from New York City and bigger cities like that, but these aggressive rats or rats that were said to be desperate for food because they're not getting the usual fare from the garbage supply, from the restaurants and other things where they usually get them. What is the latest on those aggressive rats, and some of the questions regarding the effect of rodent pressures on rodent behavior? So I guess what you're saying is they're not doing well during the COVID-19 activities. They're not doing well with the self-quarantining and the physical distancing either.
Well, that's an interesting topic, and of course, when you deal with animals that rely so heavily on us, once we go away, they can be in trouble. In downtown areas, places that rely on restaurants, such as rats in cities, this can be an issue. And of course, the rats and mice will react quickly. So it's not a big surprise at all that there are behavioral changes that we see in these populations as they decide what they're going to be able to do. With fewer people around, they're far more visible out there. With less food, they're going to have to fend for themselves. Sometimes it gets ugly. There's cannibalism and awful things like that among rats. So kind of thing happens. But to be honest, this is not likely to be a permanent change. Once our behavior goes back to normal, so are theirs.
All right, 1-800-859-0WJR, 1-800-859-0WJR. You can also watch us at WJR.com/Paul W. Smith, Facebook.com/WJR Radio. Search WJR 760 AM on YouTube. You can ask questions online there as well, as we spend this hour with Shep from Rose Pest Solutions taking care of your problems at 827.
WJR Traffic is sponsored by Dell Marketing. Dell can help you office everywhere with up to 45% off the latest business computers with Intel Core processors and new Windows 10 devices. Plus, get 10 free shipping and special financing offers with Dell Business Credit. Call 877-ASK-DELL for a Dell Technologies advisor.
And we're checking it at now 828. Our WJR Traffic and Weather first, Dana Clark.
Some construction along the Southfield Freeway North at Michigan Avenue has that area reduced to just one lane. Those single lane closures scheduled through early November. 94 eastbound at Cashew, that on-ramp is closed for construction until 10 a.m. on Thursday. Now, WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel. Expecting lots of sunshine once again today. Could see a pop-up shower after 2 p.m. this afternoon. It won't stick around, though. Temps still going to be warm, a high of 84, tonight 66. Some storms roll in on Thursday, especially in the evening, a high of 81 degrees. Even cooler on Friday, more like normal, a high of 73. Also seeing some showers in the morning on Friday. Sunshine already 72 degrees. I'm Dana Clark, WJR News with Dick Hafner in about 2 minutes.
Says we're clear.
How are things, Shep? Good?
Things are well. We are live on the stream, so there's a whole internet audience out there who's probably pretty bored with us just sitting here.
You mean during the news?
Yeah, right now.
Well, what should we do? Do you do dancing, singing? Do you do anything that you could do for us? I'm all up for anything, you know.
There we go. Well, yeah. Well, we should do something nice for them. I mean, they've taken the time to come on and see us here.
God bless them, or I should say, God bless you for coming on here.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah, there's 3 or 4 different platforms they can join us on. That's interesting too. I don't know how you keep track of all that stuff.
Looks like the Facebook folks are out there.
How can you tell? I don't know.
I can see Carolyn just chimed in and was glad to learn about carpenter bees. One of the many types of bees, she said. See, do you see the...
Oh, Leslie Atkinson Wilson. Sometimes we hand spray the bottom plate of exterior sliding door or exterior siding where they may be coming in. Interesting.
This is the chat now that they're all seeing. They've logged on. And Curtis says you're live on the stream, so he's looking out for us.
He just wants us to say something we'll later regret.
Oh, no doubts about that.
It's just odd not to hear the news, when it's on.
It is. To follow up on that for Leslie and all the carpenter ants and the ant traps and the baits. You know, those little bait stations, they're generally not all that effective because the ants generally don't go for what's in there. Some of them do sometimes. I got to try it. For the most part, keeping them out doesn't involve using pesticides on the outside. It involves sealing up the little cracks and crevices. That can be difficult.
What is the Rose phone number? I should have it memorized from saying it so many times.
Oh, 1-800-966-ROSE.
Yeah. I can hear the woman singing it. 1-800-966-ROSE. Okay. And you're hiring now, so we'll let people know about that.
Oh, yeah.
We got carpenter ants, carpenter bees. We got this guy from Michigan State saying the same thing that you say, that the mosquitoes are coming. This is a Michigan State University insect diagnostician.
Who is it?
Howard Russell.
Oh, yeah.
You know Howard.
Been knowing Howard for a long, long time.
Well, you bug guys stick together, I know.
It's a small pond.
Let's see.
You're hearing the Paul W. Smith Show. News Talk 760 WJR.
As we continue with our Rose Pest Solutions Hour, Ask the Expert, Rose Pest entomologist, fine MSU graduate Mark Sheperdigian. Mark, you are certified in this area. You know what you're talking about. You agree with, and in fact, you even know the MSU professor who sent us the note, he's in a note, Howard Russell, saying that this spring is shaping up to be a bumper year for mosquitoes. Now, we've dealt with carpenter ants, carpenter bees, mosquitoes ramping up for an active summer. We talked about that. What is there something overall, Shep, that homeowners can do to kind of minimize the various pests this summer?
Oh, no doubt there is. If you're concerned about the number of insects that keep coming in the house, first thing to do is to go around the outside and make sure that that is not a an attractive place for insects. So if it's all overgrown, if the bushes and shrubs have grown up and they cover most of the house, cut them away so that the sunshine can get in, so that the air can get in, and it dries out. Becomes a much less likely for bugs to build up a large population, because it's the bugs right outside that end up being the bugs that come inside. You also want to make sure you go around and seal up the little cracks and crevices that they'll walk into. Like underneath windows, the bottom course of siding on aluminum siding and vinyl siding on houses. Those are the kind of places where they go in. There's soffit vents. Those are, if you look up for the overhang from the roof, the eaves, it's called the eaves. There's a vent in that flat plate on the bottom called a soffit, and those vents are supposed to be screened. Some of them aren't. If they're not screened, that's a great way to get in the house. And the same way for gable vents and all the other vents around the house. If everything's screened, that keeps stuff out pretty well.
All right, Dennis in Almont is up next at 1-800-859-0WJR, 1-800-859-0957. Good morning, Dennis. Welcome to the Paul W. Smith Show on WJR. And Shep is here from Rose Pest Solutions.
Good morning, guys. I got a question about mice. I had a mouse build a nest inside the wiring of my air conditioner and chewed a wire. It's happened twice over the last 5 years. I was wondering what I could do to keep it from happening again. I live out in a pretty open area, so I do keep bait spread around the air conditioning unit, but these mice seem to find their way in there, build nests, and then chew through the wires.
Can you help, Dennis? Yeah.
That's a interesting problem. It's going to happen on a regular basis, a couple times in 5 years. That's more than you want, but it's not like every other month. A lot of mice out there, and both house mouse and the deer-footed mouse that are out there, they'll both do that. The best thing you can do is to seal it up so they can't get in, and that's tough because the mice can get through a crack anything larger than about a 1/4 inch. And that's not very big. We'll let them in. So if you can go through and screen those things off, that's the best way to do it. Leaving a lot of bait around has its advantages and disadvantages. It certainly will be there for various things that come by, but if you don't change it regularly, it loses a lot of palatability. It's there for non-target organisms, and if they don't eat it, it won't do much for you. Traps can be helpful, but they take a little maintenance too. You got to make sure that they're set and that they're still working. As far as air conditioners go, and I know that you got to keep the air has still got to flow through there, but to be able to get some 1/4 inch hardware cloth, that's kind of like that big heavy screen. I'm sure you know what that is, Dennis, and use that around the edges on the outsides where they're tunneling in at, or where they're crawling through. That'll be your best bet.
All right.
I'll give that a shot. Thanks a lot.
Sure.
Thanks, Dennis. Curtis tells us we've got a nice Facebook question from Steve. He says, I have these bugs that are as wide as they are long. They fly and crawl on things, and I'm not sure what they are. Someone said that they were stink bugs. Could you tell me about them? Do they do any damage, or do they bite?
Well, assuming, if they were stink bugs are about as wide as they're long. They're pretty oblong things. So that's probably pretty accurate. Do they do any damage? Oh, yes, they do. The stink bugs we've been seeing, which you shouldn't be seeing too much anymore. They should be out and gone. Mostly when we see them, they're overwintering, which means they came in the fall and they're going to spend the winter with us in our houses. The particular stink bug, the stink bug in question, is the brown marmorated stink bug, which invasive species came from Asia. Got to be 20 years ago now, to the mid-Atlantic region, where it is so hard on fruits and vegetables, drove some apple growers right out of the business for a while. It can be devastating. That's a big concern here in Michigan, and there's a lot of folks working hard to make sure that they don't trouble our apple crop or cherries or those kinds of things, because they really can be bad. As far as homeowners go, they don't really cause a lot of damage, but they do show up, and they do kind of stink, but not as bad as you'd think. What they do is they come in the fall, and they spend their lives there, spend their winters with us, and they can really put you off your feed. You think a couple thousand cluster flies or ladybugs crawl around is one thing. Wait till you see a couple thousand stink bugs that are 3/4 of an inch, well, not that long, half an inch long. It's a big animal if you're an insect.
When we come back, Kate has a question about the concern she has with the mulch they're putting around her house and how that might be aiding and abetting some of the pest problems. Interesting question. We'll talk about that when we return. Right now, it is 8:42 on WJR.
This report is sponsored by Discover. We treat you like you'd treat you. Get your free credit scorecard today, even if you're not a Discover customer. It includes your FICO credit score, and checking your scorecard won't hurt your credit. Learn more at discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply.
We have our WJR traffic and weather. First, we have Dana Clark.
Still nice and quiet out there, Paul W. Just watching that construction in Auburn Hills. 2 lanes closed, M59 East between Updike and Crooks. Expect those lane closures scheduled through May 31st. Now, WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Restore Wellness Center. Getting outside and back to work can sometimes bring unforeseen body pain. Relieve that nagging pain at the Restore Wellness Center. Reserve your appointment today with the largest, most experienced laser treatment center in Michigan at restorewellnesscenter.com. That's restorewellnesscenter.com.
Continue to keep the clouds in. A mild morning and a warm afternoon, mostly cloudy, 83. Tonight, maybe a shower, 67. Thursday, a few showers around, maybe an isolated late-day thunderstorm up near 80 degrees. From the Weather Channel, meteorologist Ray Stitchik on News Talk 760 WJR.
I'm sorry, you had said something just as we were going into traffic, Shep. Was that a question, or were you making a comment I'd missed?
That was a comment. It was should have said for the stink bugs. You got to do those at the end of the summer. That's the best time to deal with that.
Their stink is worse than their bite. Oh, no, maybe not. I don't know. Kathleen, let's see. Here's a question in the chat.
Oh, yeah. Kathy. I know Kathy, so that's...
oh, you do?
Yeah. And she's pointing out that they live trap the chipmunks.
And that they keep coming back.
So how far do you have to take them away from? I tell you. And for our chipmunker, who was that? That was Frank. Yeah, what do I do with the chipmunks? Well, you can live trap them. In fact, that might work. But you get live traps, and they're suckers for peanut butter. Taking them far enough away to not come home is difficult, because then you're out there releasing these things into a foreign territory where it can be pretty hard on them. They're kind of territorial animals, and you see this as the populations build up. That might be a good thing to do. Take them so far away they never come back. But I don't know. I don't know how far you'd have to go.
I'll ask you that when we come back here on the radio. One last segment here coming up, taking us to about 8:55, Shep, as we have to then say goodbye. For you, for the show, for me.
Time flies when you're having fun.
All goodbye at 8:55. You bet.
Or as we say, time's fun when you're having flies.
Another question about the, somebody was up there with a question about those killer hornets again.
Oh, yeah. Murder hornets.
Murder hornets.
Yeah. It's cute, but I don't think they'll show up here. If they do, it'll cause quite a stir.
Man.
Oh, I read up on those, and some of the headlines, they'll kill you with a couple stings. It's a tough sting, but it takes a whole lot more than a couple to kill people.
The whole idea is horrible, horrifying, and it'll be a next great movie. It's very difficult after all these years to sit here and not be able to hear the radio station. I'm always, no matter what I'm doing, I'm always listening to the radio station, so I know when we're coming back and what we're doing. I can't hear anything now.
And as often as I've done this, always been in studio, you can always tell when your mic's on and who's listening to you. And now you can't.
No.
So for all you folks out there,
always on. How'd you write a note to somebody?
Who, me?
Yeah.
You type it in down there at the bottom. To your
Oh,
right.
I see a chat with the host and other guest. I got you. Huh.
You're hearing the Paul W. Smith Show. News Talk 760 WJR.
Rose Pest Solutions, serving Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, Western Pennsylvania over 160 years. They've been solving pest problems, including at my house. Most recently, they got to the bottom of these suicidal carpenter ants that were in our garage, and they got that cleared up right away. Somebody had asked about the killer murder hornets again. We talked about them earlier. We don't think it's going to be a problem here. We hope and pray they're not coming here because they're pretty bad.
They are, and the lesson there is invasive species. We have more to deal with the species of animals that aren't supposed to be here. If all the introduced species left the continent today, I wouldn't have a job as an urban pest management professional, that's for sure. That's mostly what we deal with, is the stuff that's been brought here that shouldn't be here.
Right. Bob is in Detroit on WJR. Calling in at 1-800-859-0957, 1-800-859-0WJR. Hello, Robert.
Hello, Chef. There's a fellow in East Point who's trying to prevent and eradicate bed bugs. What do you have to say?
All power to you, brother. I'm on his side. Eradicate bed bugs. Let me
This is where you use the dogs, right?
No, the dogs don't eliminate. The dogs find them. That's what they do.
That's what I mean. I mean, I remember from commercials in the past that you had brought in the dog squad to help you with bed bugs.
Oh yeah, because they can. The tough part is finding them. The key to get to controlling bed bugs is early detection. You want to find them early. That's tough to do. The dogs are really good at it. People, you really got to hunt for them. And by the time we know they're there, a pretty established population. Now, if somebody wants to eliminate them, period, boy, I would, anything we could do to help, we'd be doing that. But I'll tell you something, there's no such thing as an endangered insect, only endangered habitat. As long as the habitat is there, the insects will be there. Bed bugs, their habitat is people. As long as there's people, there will be bed bugs, and they're just a fascinating creature. Once they get going, if you can't kill them or get rid of them, that population just explodes until it's hideous. If you've never seen a bed bug population out of control, I hope you never see one, because it's an awful thing. Getting rid of them can be very, very difficult. They're so hard to find. They hitchhike so easily that eliminating them as a pest here in the country is probably an unreasonable expectation.
Joe is in Grand Blanc on WJR, the Paul W. Smith Show, with Shep from Rose Pest Solutions.
Hi, Joe.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. You talked briefly earlier about stink bugs. We, on a daily basis, kill more than our share of stink bugs in our house. And as you know, when you squeeze those little suckers, they are stinky. So how do we rid ourselves of the stink bugs in the house?
Good. See, and I probably should have said that the last time we talked about them. The way to do this is happens in the late summer. And don't worry, they're going to go away, Joe. They should be gone any day now. They'll be out of the house and off doing their thing and making more stink bugs. And they won't show up until the end of the summer. So before the end of the summer gets here, you got to go around the house and see, how did they get in? And they'll do that anywhere they can crawl up and crawl under. So, and we've talked about this a lot. Sealing them out is the right way to go. If you need help with sealing, sometimes call in a professional to do that. Also,
are there any
about Labor Day, exterior treatment can go a long way to dissuading those that didn't get sealed out from coming in. And sometimes that's the best you can do. Sometimes it's not 100% perfect, but generally that's as far as you can get.
What did you start to say, Joe?
I'm sorry, did you say after Labor Day you can spray something, or is that before Labor Day?
No, right around Labor Day is the optimal time here in the southeast of Michigan.
Let's go to, good luck to you, Joe, in Grand Blanc. Let's go to Leon in Howell before we run out of time on WJR. Leon.
Good morning, Paul and Shep. This is the first year we have ever had a problem with ticks. And we live in a condo community, and we try to walk our dogs on the sidewalk and the mowed grass area, and our dog has become a tick magnet. What can we do about that?
Yeah, a lot of ticks out there, and ticks are getting bad. The best thing to do is to treat the dog. There are your vet can guide you on that. There are things to give the dog to keep the ticks off them. Ticks aren't just getting on dogs, though. They'll get on us too. The big thing about ticks is you find them in the zone between where it changes from grass to the other side of the property, and you want to keep that trimmed. You also want to if you can treat that goes a long way. If you can't, that can be done professionally too, to kill the ticks in that area. The ticks they're questing ticks. They wait for someone to come by, and they're very patient. And then when when a suitable host comes by, they jump on. So you can find yourself with a bunch of ticks all over you.
All right, quickly, Joanne and Shelby, you're on WJR.
Hi, back to the yellow jacket wasp. Is there? I have a porch that has a lot of wood on the top. And these things have come here about 3 years. What can I do? Is there a paint that I can put over that wood that would dissuade these yellow jackets?
Are they drilling holes in it?
Yes.
Those are carpenter bees. Those are the ones that drill the holes. And yeah, fresh paint should work. If you paint that over, that should be good. They should not drill through fresh paint. Although, wait around long enough, somebody's going to tell you, "Oh yeah, I saw that once." maybe it did, maybe it didn't. Until that time, just about anything labeled for treatment around the exterior of a house should be effective in killing them.
All right, we're out of time, but plenty of time to say this. You're hiring at Rose Pest Solutions.
So we are, and what a great career. It's an opportunity to get out there and work on your own, out and about among the people with an essential service.
It's been voted by all of your employees one of the coolest places to work in Southeast Michigan. You can get a hold of Rose at 1-800-966-ROSE, 1-800-966-ROSE. And I want to thank our Rose Pest entomologist, MSU graduate Mark Sheperdigian. Shep, thanks for your help. We'll look forward to the next time.
Thank you, Paul W.
Stand by for news in 5 minutes from right now. Then it's the Frank Beckman Show from 9 till noon, keeping you the best informed audience in all of radio. We'll hope to wake up with you tomorrow morning, 5:30 till 9. You go on out as far as you can go. Make it a great rest of the day. Regards, Paul W. Smith.